load in and of itself is the largest seizure in the area port of Buffalo's history.
These boxes marked evidence are filled with marijuana. U.S. Customs and Border Protection seized the drugs Saturday inside a truck at the Peace Bridge heading into Buffalo. U.S. Attorney J.P. Kennedy says the drug was disguised as peat moss in 58 cardboard boxes.
Those boxes contained thousands of vacuum-sealed bags containing over 3,346 pounds of marijuana.
The driver, a 30-year-old man from India, was taken into custody.
Although we are excited that we're able to keep this off the street, we want to continue to do that. We know that those criminal organizations will still try to manipulate whatever environment they can to get this stuff across, but we're ready and we're prepared to stop it.
Even with a big drop in passenger traffic because of COVID travel restrictions, authorities have made several major drug busts at the border.
The officers start to find what we call flags. You get enough red flags, they know what to send over to secondary.
There's been a total of 8,700 pounds of drugs seized here at the Peace Bridge since March 21st. Special Agent in charge of Homeland Security in Buffalo, Kevin Kelly, says it appears the marijuana was not necessarily for distribution in Buffalo.
This marijuana would probably hit Buffalo and proceed either eastbound into New York City or into other major metropolitan cities. The bulk of this marijuana would probably not stay in the city of Buffalo.
Authorities say they are seeing similar situations with attempts to smuggle drugs across the state.
All right, I'm wondering, how big is the illegal marijuana business these days with it being legal everywhere? I think it's actually legal in Canada and, of course, in states across the country. Joe Ested, let me start with you. Do we know how big illegal marijuana business is these days with it being legalized and decriminalized in many places?
Yeah, Vinny, we know it's big, but we don't know how big. We just can't even imagine how big. You got to understand something. The marijuana, it's a supply and demand. If we didn't have a demand for this, it wouldn't be that big. That's why we have states now that went to legalize marijuana. But it's a huge demand for marijuana, and you see exactly this load. This is a huge load. So yes, it's going to hit multiple cities. That's just not for one city. So yeah, this load by itself tells you how big it was. If it wasn't for anybody to buy it, it wouldn't be this big.
Yeah, let me tell you, if that was all for Buffalo, they'd be running out of buffalo wings afterwards. Donald, so it's hidden in peat moss. The driver, they arrest him. But that's just the beginning of this investigation, right? Because they're talking about a criminal organization, but it seems like it has somewhat of an international flair if it's coming in from Canada. So how does all that get investigated? It seems like it's pretty involved if you try to take it to the next step rather than just arrest the 30-year-old driver and seize the marijuana.
Yeah, Vinny, this is a big arrest to the extent that you had 1,800 pounds and apparently is skyrocketing over at the border. But with the attitudes of decriminalization and legalization of marijuana throughout our country, it's really not that big of an arrest. What I hear from people is that it's cheaper to grow marijuana in places like Mexico and maybe Canada. They don't have some of the regulations, so they could undercut the people that are growing here. This is really not an investigation for a drug agency like the DEA, in my view. This is an investigation for the IRS. You know, they're coming over, they're not paying taxes on this stuff. But, you know, I don't think that this is going to be a big arrest. It's a big quantity, but not a big arrest in most law enforcement officers' minds.
Yeah. Do we know what they do with it? What do they do with it all?
Yeah, they destroy it.
You can't burn it, right? Can you? They do? All right.
Maybe Joe knows.
All right,
I don't
next
know.
story. Next story.